Many times that I'll tell us that it don't matter what position you are in America as a black person, never think that, oh, I have made it, I've escaped racism and dealing with those who have a hatred for us for having the black skin. Now, the issue is not with us at all. The issue is with those who have that evil in their particular soul, and they can't really help themselves who do that. Obviously, we have reported on so many stories that it's just tireless at this point. But Ving Rhames, he's an actor. Many of you know him from many, many movies. We don't have to go through his catalog. He was at his home, and while he was at his home watching TV, you're going to describe that he gets a knock on the door from the Santa Monica Police Department. Now, I want you to hear exactly what happened to him when he opened up his door.
How does racism show itself in your life at this point for you?
Sure. I'm sorry. I'll tell you specifically. I had a situation I live in Brentwood, and I have another house in Santa Monica, California. This is the God's honest truth. This happened this year. I'm in my home. It was around 2:15 in the afternoon. I have a screen door at my Santa Monica place, and then I have a wooden door. I go through the screen door, then the wooden door. I'm in the house. I'm in a pair of basketball shorts only. I have two English bulldog puppies. I hear a noise in my backyard, but I'm thinking the puppies are just running around or what have you. And then I get a knock on the front door. So as a matter of fact, I was watching ESPN. So I get up and, I'm just in my basketball shorts, literally. And so I get up, I open the door. There's a red dot pointed at my face from a 9mm.
Oh, my gosh.
And they say, put up your hands, literally. Now, I just walked and opened up the door. I'm not, 9mm pointing at me. And then they said, open the gate, the front screen door. And so they say, do it with one hand. So then I have to do it with one hand. My hands are up, and they have me outside. It was a police officer with a 9mm pointed at me, one police officer behind them, and two, I believe it was the left of me, was the captain of police and another police officer with a police dog. I get out. They recognize me. The captain of police, and you can check this with the Santa Monica Police Department, he recognized me because my son played against his school. The school his kids went to was Crossroads, and my son goes to Brentwood High School. So my son, they recognized me, and the guy, says it was a mistake. They apologized, what have you. But my problem was, and then I said, well, why are you doing this? He said to me, a woman called, this is literally what the police officer said, a woman called 911, said a large black man was breaking into the house. And so they came. We literally they left the address of the woman who called. Myself, the sergeant, I think one other police officer went over to that house, which was across the street from my place, and the person denied it. So here I am in my own home, alone in some basketball shorts, just because someone called and says a large black man is breaking in. When I opened up the wooden door, a 9mm pointed at me. My problem is, as I said to them, what if it was my son and he had, a video game remote or something, and you thought it was a gun? Just like, I don't know, Trayvon has a bag of Skittles.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't a police officer, but I'm from New York City, so things where, I think there was one black guy many years ago, brother, who was shot like 25 times, and he was coming from, I think it was a bachelor party.
I think it was Sean Bell. Sean Bell, I believe.
Yeah, you understand, but there's so many incidents of where this happens.
Now, Ving Rhames, in his home, minding his business, as you heard what he said, that the neighbor called the Santa Monica Police Department and told them a big black man is inside of this home. See, that sort of thing is just annoying. Now, it turned out okay for Ving Rhames, and the only reason why is because the police chief recognized him. What if you had one of those overzealous cops, or what if you had one of those white nationalists that's posing as police officers that's all through the police departments here in America? Ving Rhames probably could have lost his life. And for what? Being in his own house. You see, they will call the police on you. I don't care who you are. they would do that. And then you heard that the police sergeant, another police officer, and him went to the house and confronted them about calling 911, and they were like, oh, I didn't do it. You straight lying, because when you call 911, they know exactly your location and everything. What you mean you didn't do it? And if it was from a cell phone, they could trace the cell phone. So they know exactly who it was. What you lying for? Now, see, what Ving Rhames should do, and many black people who have some sort of prominence nationwide need to push for these major cities to revamp what's happening with 911. We're seeing that 911 is being used to possibly kill black people. Let's call it what it is. To have a 9mm stuck to your head, a red dot on your head, when you just sit in your home watching ESPN and cops is at your door behind some neighbor that's probably racist, don't like that you have a big house like that in Santa Monica. I've been to Santa Monica. It's a nice area. Was it Orange County, if I'm not mistaken? So they don't like to see black people in big houses. I remember my cousin, she's a realtor, and she got a great deal on a house where she lives. And every time that she would be outside, her and her husband, they want to ask, is he a ball player or is he a rapper or something like that. They all want to be knowing your business, because you know how nosy a lot of them are. Like I said, I'm glad I have the look that I have a lot of times, because a lot of times they don't talk to me like that. Or if they do approach me, they approach me real nice. They don't come asking me about my business. My wife told me to say, you have a mean look about you. That's why. I said, I guess, but I'm not really a mean person until you cross the line. But they don't want to see black people in nice neighborhoods. They feel they should only be in nice neighborhoods. And I told you this before. They're taught that black people are supposed to be poor, destitute, because you're black, you're supposed to be anything. So when you do something opposite of that, when you have money, you have prestige, you earned it on your own, you didn't come with a silver spoon in your mouth, you didn't come in this world with a privilege based on skin color, you really actually earned your keep. And like black people, we always earn everything that we have. No one gives us anything at all. We always have to earn it. So some of them are salty about black folks having something. And I'm pretty sure that neighbor, whoever it was assaulted seeing that Ving Rhames standing in one of his homes. He says one of his homes. The thing is, legislation needs to change with 911, because number one, you're wasting police resources. They could be doing something else. I believe this. If you call 911 and it's false, you need to be fined, period. You need to be fined. And the police department need to charge you for whatever resource they used to come out there. Trust me, if they start finding these people and charging them with the resources they're using, that's going to stop all these 911 calls. If they call 911 and a person is killed by mistake, that caller should be charged with their murder. That's how I feel about it. Or whatever happens to that innocent person because of you calling the police and saying things that's not true. I guarantee you, if they would actually just make that move, you would reduce all those false 911 calls on any little thing. But you see, they're not going to do that unless a bunch of black people start calling 911. That's when they want to do it. Because, they want them to feel, a lot of those, to say, well, you could always call the police on those black folks. But I tell people this, there's always just one group of people doing that. You have to point out a pattern. You have to point out just the obvious. A lot of times when I use the term, white supremacist, you see, it means different things to different people. You see, when I say the word white supremacist, for the most part, let me talk about white folks for a minute. They think white supremacist is Richard Spencer, David Duke, a Klansman, a neo-Nazi skinhead. That's who they say, oh yeah, that's the white supremacist. But we know a white supremacist is actually a whole lot more than the Richard Spencers of the world or the David Dukes of the world. Let me tell you something. There's more white supremacists that sympathize with them and support them behind the scenes, who don't wear a robe, who don't wear a police badge, who aren't walking around with a Make America Great Again hat, because there are Trump supporters who do not walk around with that Make America Great Again hat. So this is what I'm talking about. Those are the ones that's more dangerous to us. These 911 callers, you calling on black people for any little thing. You can't tell me that you don't have no kind of white supremacist views about black people when you just calling the police, and only on black people. I would understand if you was calling the police on everybody. And I say, okay, you just a straight up butthole, and you really trying to get somebody killed. I would report it just like that. But when I keep seeing, you don't hear a bunch of white actors saying, yeah, I went to my door and I had 9mm pointed at my head. When have you heard Tom Cruise say that? That his neighbor called and said, there's a white guy inside of a house. You never hear white actors with those stories. But leave it up to the black ones, you hear it. Black people inside their own home, regular Joe Public, and the police show up. This is why it's imperative, black people, to get you some cameras. You know, with the state of we living in now, get you some cameras outside your home. Get you a camera at your doorbell, the one you could speak to the police. Because what if Ving Rhames actually had one of those cameras at the time, and he heard them and saw them? He could have told the police, "Hey, officers, can I help you? What's going on?" He could have said that to him without and not be surprised that he got a 9mm stuck at his head. We have to, as black people, try to have a 360 view of our home, definitely on the outside, on the front, everywhere you can see in your driveway, because I'm telling you, we have to think like that as black folk. We have to. Same thing when I tell you guys about your passport. Get your passports. I'm going to keep repeating that. Get your passports. Get your voter registration card and practice your Second Amendment rights. I'm a firm believer of that, what I tell black people all the time, because you know, in this society that we live in, if you're not dealing with a white supremacist trying to cut your throat in a BART train, you're dealing with them trying to call the police to come murder you in your own home. And I'm glad Ving Rhames doesn't happen to him, but this could have ended very badly. And once again, it's always happening to black people. So never think that you got your degree, your business, some position, and think it cannot happen to you. As long as you this in this country, as long as you're dealing with white supremacists, you're going to always deal with that issue. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about the situation with Ving Rhames. Glad the brother's okay, but always, brothers and sisters, never let your guard down with these folks.